Verme la moustache en la camucha. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki taca, tiki. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Siento patamilo, mira taca, tiki punetica. Samile, verme la moustache en la camucha.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show. And today is my draft grades for the Washington Redskins. I want to say this. I know that I said on my last video, I talked about being confused about a pick. And I'm going to go in depth with that a little bit. But I do want to get to my draft grades. So I'm going to do that first. And then I'm going to talk to some of you fans out there who kind of disagreed with what I had to say. So, starting off at the beginning, Chase Young. Chase Young is an A++ draft grade. We got, for once, the best player in the draft. We got the opportunity to draft the best player in the draft, and we did that. This guy is going to change the way our defense plays. I love this pick, absolutely love this pick. I was on the Chase Young or bust bandwagon for the longest. I'm glad we stuck with the pick. I'm glad Fan Snyder told them that he wanted to pick this guy. Chase Young, A++ when it comes to a draft grade. Number 2, Antonio Gibson. I gave him a C. The reason why I gave him a C is because, yes, he's an explosive player. Yes, he seems to be a pretty good player. Yes, he does seem to be dynamic. On the other end, he's only got 1 real year of true production, and 2, he didn't show up in big games. I said that. The thing that's funny about that is that I said that in a video prior, and guess what happened? A lot of ever since you guys like pundits and you guys like talking heads, a lot of them agreed with what I said. He was a reach. The Redskins did reach for him. Now, I will also say this. If Ron Rivera came out and said, the reason we took him here is because we knew other teams had him high on their board, then I would say, okay, I understand why you took him here. That reasoning makes sense. Don't give me the reason of we took him because we feel we can make him like Christian McCaffrey. I will go into detail about that as well. But like I said, again, a lot of draft pundits out there are saying the exact same thing I said, because you know why? We all looked at the games. We actually looked at the games. We didn't look at a highlight reel. We didn't look at highlight films. We didn't even look at highlight plays. We actually looked at the film and saw what we saw. Now, again, like I said, I give him a C because, yes, his dynamic ability will help us in the kick return game because, again, I told everybody, we need to find a way to make sure that Steven Sims Jr. is not the kick returner and is not the punt returner. This guy can do that. Yes, I'm very glad he can do that. In the veil of Christian McCaffrey, I don't know. He's not that type of running back, because if you look at him when he runs the ball, he's not that type of guy. The same thing applies to receiver. He cannot break press coverage. He's a very raw player. He's a very raw player. But again, hopefully he becomes something very good for us, because the guy's already here. I'm not sitting here saying trade it. The guy's already here. I just hope he doesn't become a pet project for this coach like Colt McCoy did. And we're all sitting here like, why is this guy still on the team? But again, like I said, in regards to his returning ability, I'm on board, fine. But he still gets a C. The next pick, Derrick Charles. I have been talking about this guy even before the draft. He was on most people's boards the 9th best tackle, the 10th best tackle, and all this type of stuff. In my eyes, he was one of the top 5 tackles in the draft. A lot of people said they had a 2nd round grade on him. Yeah, a lot of people did. But I'm going to tell you this. This guy could actually replace Trent Williams. This guy is actually that good. I mean, in regards to how he played at LSU, he made sure Joe Burrow was not touched. Now, again, does he have some character issues? They're character issues that all young guys would have. I mean, hell, at 18, 19 years old, you're living on campus of a place you've never been before, a state you've never been in before. You're practically a superstar because you're on the football team. He was just doing what most college kids do, and that's being crazy, that's being silly, that's being a follower. It's just what they do. It's just what they do in college. Just what they do. Not everybody is built to be men by the time they get to college. Some actually are their age when they get to college. So again, I love this pick. I gave it an A. The reason why I only gave it an A and not an A+, is because of the fact that, yeah, there is stuff that he can work on. One being run blocking. He does have to get better at run blocking. He's very solid at it. Don't get me wrong. He's very solid at it, but he does have to work on it. But I gave that an A. The next pick, Antonio Gandy Golden. I gave that pick an A+. The reason why is because when I look at the game film that I saw with him, this guy is actually really, really good. Not only that, he played up to his competition. He didn't play bad against lower level competition, but you can tell when he knew he was in a big game. And the fact that he's 6'4", he's a monster he's 6'4", he's a monster of a target. And he's also very big because I think they had him at 220 something. So he's a very big guy. What I also like is that the first thing out his mouth was that he says he thrives in competition. I'm going to be honest with you. I am excited to see him compete against Kelvin Harmon, who's also a massive competitor. So it will be nice to see what happens with Kelvin Harmon and Antonio Gandy Golden if they have training camp. They may not have training camp. I'm hoping they have training camp, but I can't wait to see the competition between them two, because that is going to be something to really revel in. Not only that, this guy has an insane catch radius. I mean, he catches stuff that you wouldn't expect for him to catch. He had one play where he turned around and caught the ball with one hand as he was going out of bounds. Y'all have to see the film to really see it. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. He's definitely great. He's definitely great. But again, like I said, I was a little worried that this guy was not going to be around, and I think the Redskins kind of risked it. I would have rather them take him at the Antonio Gibson pick, but again, we still got him, and that's all that matters. Next is Keith Ishmael. Keith Ishmael, I gave his grade B-. He is a very solid offensive lineman. Does he need work? Yes. The big thing that's going to happen is that the reason for me giving him a B- and not lower is because of the fact that he's going to face some really stiff competition at the interior offensive line position, because he may make it as a guard, a backup guard, but he won't make it as a center. Chase Rouillet is right there, along with Ross Pierschbacher. So he actually has some very stiff competition to go up against in regards to interior line. Can he play? Yes, he can definitely play. Is there little things he need to work on? Yes, there's things. He doesn't identify blitzers as quickly as he should when he's calling out blocking schemes for the team. But you can also tell that he's very solid when it comes to blocking. He's a very solid interior lineman. He did in a couple games he got blew up. He had issues with certain players coming up the middle, but he does play very well. He would be solid as a backup in a backup role, and he'll also be solid on a situation when it comes to special teams. He's just that good of a blocker. So with that, it made sense for them to draft him here. Again, like I said, I was looking more for quality starter, but he's not going to be a starter. He's definitely a backup. but I still gave him a B- because he is a quality player. And for the fact that he's a backup, that made sense. But again, I gave it a B-. Still a good pick, just not the pick that I thought it was going to be, but he's still a quality pickup. Kalika Hudson. Kalika Hudson is he's nothing like Isaiah Simmons. He is a guy who can play multiple linebacker positions. He can play the strong safety position. The problem with him is that he takes a lot of bad angles and he doesn't make a lot of really solid plays. But he does tackle very well. He definitely tackles very well. And because he does tackle very well, it makes him such a great player in regards to tackling well, not in regards to all-around skill. He will be a special teamer. I think that as he develops more, he might be more of a quality player, especially if the Redskins feel the need to move on from Landon Collins and putting him at that safety position. He doesn't turn very quickly, which is why he went so far down and why he doesn't get the comparison of Isaiah Simmons, because Isaiah Simmons is very fluid and he can cover multiple positions. But for this guy, he's not that fluid. But he does play multiple positions and he can do it. He definitely can do it. He's definitely a very good tackler. Like I said, he just takes poor angles. He takes very poor angles to whatever. And to be honest, this is not a bad pick. I did give it a C because it's not a bad pick, but you don't really have a place for him. I understand that everybody's talking about, Ron Rivera getting all these versatile players. Again, understandable, but I don't know where he fits at, especially in the defensive scheme. He will work on special teams, but I just don't know where he fits in regards to the defensive scheme. The next guy is Cameron Curl. Cameron Curl, I gave a C-, but my thinking, especially with watching his film and watching the games, what I think Ron Rivera and them are thinking is converting him back to cornerback. He plays safety at Arkansas. But during the telecast, they did say that he was converted to safety from being a cornerback. Now, I think I know why they did that, because there were games where when he plays up and he does press coverage, the guy is really, really good at it. Like, he's a really good cover guy. But he plays like a cornerback who was converted to safety. And what I mean by that is that he does the Deion Sanders thing. He makes the executive decision to not really tackle. And that's something that you saw. He doesn't crash the line like you would want your safeties to do. And when he does, when he does try to tackle, he immediately always goes for their legs. Pretty much what cornerbacks do. You'll have some safety, but a lot of safeties, they tend to want to hit towards the middle of the body or a little higher and things like that. He immediately goes for their legs, no matter what the player is. The player can be a small wide receiver, a big wide receiver, a small running back, a big running back, a tight end. No matter who it is, he always attacks their legs. He does not tackle high at all. He also doesn't give maximum effort, which is something, but again, I think a lot of that has to do because he's not comfortable with playing safety. And I think that that's all it is. My thinking is that Ron Rivera and them are planning to convert him back to cornerback. He would be freakish at 6'2", at being a 6'2" cornerback. He would be very freakish at that. He does turn his hips very well. He does get back, but he doesn't, like I said, I just think he wasn't comfortable playing safety. And when they converted him, I think they thought it was going to work out, but it honestly really didn't. So like I said, again, I gave him a C- because they drafted a safety, but I could have given him a B. I could have given him a C to a B, because of the fact that in my mind, I think they're converting him back to a cornerback. Just my opinion. Last but not least is James Smith-Williams. He's a guy that when he did play, he's a very strong guy at the point of attack. The problem is that he has a extensive injury history in his college career. I don't see him as an end making the team. If he does, it will be on special teams. But currently, I just don't see it because his competition is even worse than Keith Ishmael's competition. Keith Ishmael is only competing against 2 guys. James Smith Williams is competing against like 6 guys. When you think about it, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, Jordan Brailford, Ryan Anderson, and Nate Orchard. He's facing a lot of competition when it comes to playing in. So I don't even know if he's going to make the team. Like I said, he probably would make the team if he plays special teams very well. Like I said, he's very strong at the point of attack, which means that he would be a very good blocker on the special team side, along with being a very good rusher on the special team side. So to me, it makes sense for special teams, but I don't see him making the team as a backup when he has far more superior competition to face. So that's just my take. Overall, I gave the Redskins a B- in this draft. Again, Chase Young, A++, and Sadiq Charles, A, Antonio Gannon Golden, A+, Keith Ishmael, B-. I gave it a B- because we had 2 C- and a C. But this wasn't a bad draft. This wasn't a bad draft, but it wasn't a draft that could have been far perfect, because they could have sat up there and drafted guys who may have helped us more sooner. But again, they did what they did. All the guys are here. I like what they did in the undrafted free agent market. So I'll talk about that in the next video. Other than that, I'm going to talk about the next thing. I want to say that we're all fans. And this is to some of y'all fans who get upset when somebody says anything that's opposing to your mentality of the Redskins. I grew up in an era where the Redskins were winning all the time. I was around for the 84 Super Bowl. I was around, even though I was very, very young, I was around for it. I was around for the 87 Super Bowl. I was around for the 91 Super Bowl. I was around during a time where all we saw in Washington was winning from the Redskins. It was very rare to see the Redskins lose during that time period. So understand this. We're now going on 30 years. Next year will be 30 years of the Redskins not making the Super Bowl. Not competing in the Super Bowl. And that's very hard for people like me who's used to when the Redskins were always winning. The reason I created this channel was because I was over the talking heads. And understand, the talking heads have to tell you stuff because they have to get interviews with these players. They have to get interviews with the coaches. They have to get interviews with the general managers. They have to get interviews with the owners. Understand that my platform, now again, if I worked for one of those companies, then yes, I would have to fall in line with the talking heads as well. But because I don't work for them, I don't have to fall in line with that. And you have to also understand, they have to show you optimism, because if they show any negative realms against it, then guess what? Eventually, everybody will have the same issue that I have with some of you fans who sit up there and get upset because I think differently from you. A lot of y'all love the talking head conversation. Y'all love that. But understand this, there's a lot of us that don't like it. And my platform is for everyone. There are things that I honestly agree with, but then there are things that I don't agree with. And because of that, y'all can't get mad at the fact that I don't agree with your opinion. Y'all have to understand, some of y'all have been Redskins fans and y'all don't even know what winning is. Some of y'all don't even know what it is. Some of y'all don't know what those heydays of the Redskins was when the team was winning all the time. Some of y'all don't even know. So I had one guy tell me he's been a fan for 20 years. He's been a fan for the same amount of time Dan Snyder has owned the team. He doesn't know what winning is at all. That's a part of what I want to really say to y'all. We're all fans. We're all not going to agree on every single thing. We're just not. And you got to understand that you got to respect somebody who's giving you facts versus somebody who's not giving you facts. I'll give you a great example. I started this platform. It's supposed to be me and 3 other guys. That's why it's called the Frustrated Fans. But the other guys kind of backed out, or they couldn't do it because they're busy, which I was fine with. But that's why this was started, because we all felt the same way. We were over the talking heads. We were over false stats. You know what false stat I'm talking about? False stats like 77 touches. 77 touches is such a BS stat. I don't even know where to start at with that stat. In fact, I'll give you an example. A lot of y'all were comparing Antonio Gibson to some of these other players like Percy Harvin, like Brian Mitchell, like Christian McCaffrey, like Curtis Samuel. Understand this. This guy has nowhere near the production that these other guys had in college. Just to break it down for y'all, I'm going to give y'all some stats, because some of y'all don't understand and how, these guys are actually far superior to what this guy is. Just to give you an idea, Curtis Samuel had 200. Just so I can give y'all an idea. First, 77 touches. 77 touches, that's over 2 years of him playing at Memphis. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's every time he got the ball. So let's just say he get the ball on kick returns. Say he goes against a team like, let's say Navy. And Navy punts the ball like 6 times. And in those 6 times, he's caught the ball each time. Guess what? That fudges that 77 touches stat, because it's not a real stat. And his 15-point-something yard average. Understand that there were times where he played teams that had very bad special teams. So he broke them for 50 yards. But there was also games where he didn't do anything. He didn't break anything. He didn't have those long yardage. So again, these false stats is why I sit up here and say the things that I do. Because I don't like the false stats. The false stats only give narrative, but it's not a real stat. But again, I'm going to tell y'all some of the things about it, because I don't want this video to go too long. But Curtis Samuel in his last year at Ohio State had 200 and something touches. That 200 and something touches. That's in his final year. Understand, he played running back and wide receiver. He was the kick returner and the punt returner. He had 865 yards receiving, and he had 771 yards rushing. You can't compare a guy who doesn't match that production that most guys have. Brian Mitchell is my favorite Redskin of all time. When I played football, a lot of people compared me to Brian Mitchell because I studied him to get my game just like his, because he was such an awesome kick returner. Brian Mitchell, just to give y'all some understanding of how awesome Brian Mitchell was in college at South Louisiana. Brian Mitchell, and it was the first quarterback, not black quarterback, not white quarterback, not quarterback from any other era. He was the first quarterback in NCAA history to throw for over 5,000 yards and rush for over 3,000 yards to go along with 47 touchdowns. And guess what? He went in the 5th round. Understand this. Comparing Antonio Gibson to somebody like Brian Mitchell, Christian McCaffrey, and all these guys, especially when these guys have superior college performance and stuff, especially Percy Harvin. Anybody who sits up there and says that he's like Percy Harvin, never saw Percy Harvin at the University of Florida. Percy Harvin was the everything guy. Everything guy. You never saw him at Florida. If you do a comparison. Now again, I'm not saying Antonio Gibson won't be good. I just hope that I just want y'all to temper your expectations of this guy. Because if he fails, then guess what? You now have put all this pressure on this guy because of the fact that you thought he was going to be like Christian McCaffrey, who, by the way, had 2,000 yards rushing in one season at Stanford. So again, don't do that comparison with this guy. Let this guy make his own way. Let this guy be his own person. Let this guy be his own player. In closing, I want to say this. Fans are fans. But guess what? For me, y'all insults don't hurt me. So I'm going to leave you guys with this message.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
And if you're not down with that, Philly's got 2 words for ya!
This has been your man John Fortune, and it's been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.